Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're going to talk about Fujifilm GFX 100 Mark II. So let's dive deep into it. Now this GFX 100 Mark II is a medium format camera. Now here's the problem. When I say a full frame camera, everybody knows full frame camera simply because that's what they are. Film camera, as in like full frame of a film camera, 35mm rolls. Now this is standardized. The length and width is basically length and width is locked. That's it. Meaning if you buy it from Kodak, it's the same thing. You buy it from Fuji, it's the same thing. You buy it from Sony, it's the same thing. You buy digital film, does not change. Full frame means one thing, 35mm, done, go home. However, the moment you go to medium format, it goes lol. For example, this is a medium format, one of the medium format film camera, that is 120 basically film. And why it's 120? Apparently Kodak made it 120th time. That format successfully worked, so 120. Now this is the puppy, like it's 6 centimeter wide. Now this never got actual locking in terms of resolution, so to say. Like this is locked, 35mm 35. This is not locked, meaning you can buy a camera that accepts 120 roll, this exact roll, and it will capture a square image, very huge medium format square image. But here's the, I bought this camera a few months ago, again 120mm film roll, TLR camera, everything is fine, everything dandy, but here's the deal. I put a film roll into it, bought it, yes, they are still sold brand new, and I took photos. Now here's the deal. The photos are not square, they are rectangular. How the heck that happened? Well, because there is no size restriction. Medium format means whatever you want it to mean. So in this scenario, I'm gonna get 12 shots in one roll. In this scenario, I'm gonna get 16 shot in one roll. And here's the deal, it goes the other way also. You can shrink it as small as you want to. You can also make it as large as possible. This is square, you can make it rectangle. So you can be like very huge. Panoramic cameras, some of them are very huge. Some of them are like almost 3 images wide. So that's the whole point. Medium format does not mean anything. All it says is bigger than 35mm and smaller than large format. Now what is large format? God knows, that also has like this whole mess. Apparently 1 foot by 1 foot, and yes, negatives used to be made that huge. Back in that day, like this was very early on. So once we figured out cellulose, they were like, yeah, 1 foot is a bit much. There are still some people who are doing large format photography, but not that much. So the moment you go above full frame, you have to know the length and width. For example, you buy a Fujifilm, you get 43.8mm multiplied by 32.9 millimeter. Now here's the, it says medium format, it is medium format. You go into Hasselblad, it goes like 53mm multiplied by 40mm. It's actually bigger than the, Fuji. Are they medium format? Yes, they are still medium format. You go to even slightly bigger, that is phase 1. Its dimensions are a bit different and still medium format. So be very mindful. So one medium format does not compare to another medium format. All of them are lol. So that's why many times you will see photographers talking about, like, you know, it's 44mm by 33mm. That's the reason for it. It just simply guarantees you that you are bigger than 35mm, but how much bigger, that's a different thing. So why so much focus on medium format? Now Fujifilm was very clever. They realized very early on there is not that much scope in APS-C, and they cannot jump into basically full frame. You can look at what happened to Panasonic when they jumped into it. There is 3 giants working there. You have Nikon, Canon and Sony. Yeah, it would be poof. So for them, they were like, okay, APS-C does not have that much scope. Full frame is overcrowded. So what do I do? They directly dunked behind it. So they directly went to medium format. Now why medium format? While this puppy was replaced by basically digital full frame camera, medium format did not suffer this fate. For example, this sort of camera were actually used in actual photography, model photography, high-end photography till very recently. And this is the old variant. The new variants that are like made in like late 80s, they were still used. Hasselblad was actually a negative film camera company. Almost all cameras were, and they were actually used till recently, and many of them are still in use. And that's why you will hear many times people say about digital back. Those system was specifically designed to just swap into the same lens, same body as a negative system. Basically, where you put a negative roll, you put a digital sensor there. So negatives, as actually to this day, there are many companies that still shoot in this. and give you a photograph. And again, the people like the look, the feel, and heck, I tried it. I paid a lot of money for this, and yes, some photos did came out where it was like, I see why people do that. I see why people do that. So that is why sensor size is very messy in medium format. In that era, when people were switching from 120mm film to digital, it was hyper expensive because the ecosystem was very niche. So how expensive? Well, you would be lucky to find something at $50,000. Yeah, these things were idiotically expensive. Like, they were not expensive. They were like, you have to be like idiotically expensive, or it has to be a business expense. Like, it's on a different level. Now Fuji realized that it does not actually need to be that expensive. It was like, it was expensive simply because there was no competition. So they directly jumped into it and they made it for $10,000. So Fujifilm is the first camera company that gives you digital medium format for this sort of price range, which, mind you, for other people who are coming from $100,000 camera, and yes, I'm not exaggerating, from those sort of system, they're like, dude, this is chump change. This is something I can buy on the side just for trying it out. And Fuji really found its niche. They knew their XFX, while good, is never gonna print as much money as they wanted. But here, now you're like, wouldn't this be expensive? Back in the day, yes. Nowadays, making this silicon is like, no, bro. The yield rates are high enough where this sort of silicon is like not that difficult. Be mindful. Your mobile phones have like ludicrously high resolution. So etching process, we good. So this sensor is not that expensive anymore. So I could easily see this camera costing $2,000. Then you have like a R&D and all that jazz, all that cost. So this could be giving them upwards of 30% in margin, which would be like, damn. So from market point of view, this medium format camera that is under $10,000, people are like, shut up, take money. So what is the price of this puppy? This puppy is $7,499 in USA, and in India it would be 6,30,000, price of a medium size car. Like a good car, like not a basic, very bare minimum car. I mean like a good car, like you can drive that car and you're not like, it's good. So that kind of price you are paying for here. Now you have to use GFX lens. Can you put other lenses on it? Good luck with that. There are mountings, there are adapters, but the projection area is big. Even full frame projection area is not big enough for it. So you need huge lenses. Now, megapixel wise, 102 megapixel BSI, so it is backside illuminated, latest technology, and sensor size is that same, 44 by 33. Now, it does do continuous shooting or 8 FPS. That simply means the processor is not that wow kind of processor, but it's good. It's good. For medium format, be mindful, other medium formats camera will barely give you 2 FPS. So that's why I'm saying, like, they are like, what if we give the same DNA as APS-C camera, DNA as in like the horsepower and the autofocus and all that, and just add a big ass sensor. So that's what they did. Now, viewfinder, this is where they did interesting. Viewfinder is 9.4 million dots viewfinder. Now, I have no idea, and I really want to find that person who started this trend of million dots. It means nothing because depending on which OLED technology, which LCD technology, these numbers could be very different. So the best estimate I have is QXGA resolution. What does that resolution mean? That's simply 2048 multiplied by 1536 pixels. Now, is that huge? Yes. Unless you are buying very flagship Canon and a Sony and Nikon, you're not gonna get this sort of resolution. You're generally gonna get 720p, sometimes even less than that. And that's the reason why they do not say like what exact resolution it has. They will just make up numbers like million dots, 1.5 million. Dude, that's like 2008 mobile phone screen. That's how ancient that is. That is why they always obscure the number. How? Because this is a big camera and they have a big ass OLED there, they actually have a 1 magnification on it, like just 1. It's 1:1 magnification, which is bonkers. Like, it's huge. People are like, whoa. The viewfinder is basically starting to reach this level of viewfinder where you're like, damn, you can do that. So viewfinder is really high quality. It's actually higher than full resolution, full HD. So you can like really feel what you are seeing. And be mindful, it has enough surface area where it can resolve the power, because you can buy a mobile phone that has 100 megapixel and it actually has 100 megapixel. It's just it cannot resolve it because that surface area is too small. The lens cannot project high enough resolution there. This puppy can project large enough resolution. Heck, even lenses that are like 60, 70 years old, this can still work, and it does work. I have tested it, so I know they do work. So large surface area actually means your resolving power is high enough, where you're like, you can notice, like, if you jump from full frame 24 megapixel to let's say 64 megapixel, it won't be like, whoa, because lenses are reaching a point where they're like, dude, we cannot actually resolve more. So you jump from 24 megapixel to 100 megapixel in medium format, then it will be like, whoa. Like it won't be like, it still would be a big jump if the medium format is like, let's say 64 megapixel, because the resolving power, resolving surface area, and people like that look. So what was the design of the puppy? Vertical grip has been detached. Why? Well, it made the Mark 1 very big, and because this is a big sensor and big everything, it was reaching a point of what we call cumbersome, so they removed it. Now it does have Ethernet port. Now, like, why does it have Ethernet port? It's a common thing for high-end camera, because many times these are used in a tethered mode, meaning you just plug it in and you're shooting and file is going into computer. And again, fashion photography, they will make up a set and they will have an actress there, and they'll just, camera would be in one fixed position. They'll keep doing that. In that time, of course, you're not going to pull out the card and dump it. Wireless won't be as fast as one simple cheap Ethernet cable. So they're like, just Ethernet is there. You can even do that over USB, but professionals generally prefer network solution. That also allows them to dump that file very quickly to other NAS attached system. So Ethernet is, and be mindful, it's not unique to this. Sony's flagship, Canon's flagship, Nikon's flagship, all of them have Ethernet port. That's the reason for it. So threaded shooting can be done. It does have full size HDMI. Be mindful, you are shooting something this high resolution, you may desire a very high resolution screen to actually see, because be mindful, the viewport is not that high resolution, the display is not that high resolution. Now if you plug it to a 4K monitor, like actual 4K monitor with good enough color reproduction, you'll be like, okay, now I can see what I'm actually capturing. So full size HDMI, really good. Now again, people would have fired missiles at it if they had micro HDMI at this size. USB-C. Now USB-C not only allows you to charge it or data transfer it, it also acts as a external medium. Basically, you can connect a SSD and dump file into it. Now it has dual card. Of course, every camera that is this expensive and professional grade should have it. However, they did something weird. They did something genuinely what the hell, which is like, they have one CFast Express Type B, which you need. Be mindful, this camera can touch 8 FPS. That simply means there is a lot of file, like a lot of megabits that has to be transferred, like a lot of megabytes has to be transferred. So you need CFast Express, otherwise buffer will fill up very quickly. That's good, awesome. Why the heck they have UHS 2? Why? Like any camera from Nikon, Canon, and Sony, removing Sony have their own proprietary Type A. They have Type A. So CFast Type B is used in both Nikon and Canon in their flagships. It makes sense. If you're having a huge body, you have a huge cost, just put two quality one. Like for example, in this camera, which is only UHS 1, I use UHS 2 card slot. Why? So when I'm dumping file into computer, it's very quick. Same people do this. Like people will generally buy a very fast laptop, very fast card reader, so they can dump file as quickly as possible. And be mindful, the files would be huge here. So why the heck you have a slower card option there? I could understand it if it was cheap. It's not cheap. It's expensive. If it was small, I would understand. No, it's not small. It's huge. So it genuinely does not make sense why the heck they do not have two CFast Type B. That's just like, no sir, at this price point, at this size, that's like, no, that's just like lame. That's just lame design. Now EVF is tiltable and detachable, meaning you can eat that part out also. For example, if you do not need it and you're like, hey, why the hell waste extra battery life, you can detach it. If you're just connecting it through let's say HDMI, you can do that. And this is the vertical grip that they were talking about. In the Mark 1 variant, the vertical grip was integrated. So it was neither here nor there. This time they actually made it big. So if you're like, hey, you need it, then only buy it. It's huge, it's big, in charge. You like it, awesome. You don't like it, don't buy it. So it's a very philosophy wise, in terms of design philosophy, they know that if you're buying this, you need this. So it does not have any compromised functionality. Buttons are there, grips are there, too many functions are there, and you can put 3 batteries, 2 inside, 1 here. I'll talk more about that in future. So this is a really good system. And that display, oh my god, that's literally trying to replicate the era of this. Like, okay, I can see what's happening. But so and it's huge. Like in Mark 1, it was big compared to all other cameras. That's big. This here is like, allow me to show you big. Like this is bigger than any smartwatch you have. So it's huge and very sharp contrast. They only focused on contrast, and there is one button specifically dedicated to flipping its color, meaning in some scenarios you may want white background, in some scenarios you want black background. There is a button just for that. So design wise, it's a different class of devices. What about specification? Well, you have to understand, this is not made for people who are looking at spec compare. It does have 8K cropped 30 FPS. Now, why 8K is cropped? Well, 8K generally translates to 33 megapixels. Taking a 100 megapixel photo crushing that puppy into 33 megapixel. Yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening. You're gonna need a computer for that level of crunching. So it does 1-to-1 read from the center. So when you do 8K, it does a 1.35 crop. Be mindful that at that point it looks more or less full frame, or maybe even a little bit bigger than full frame. And DCI, digital cinema imaging, that is 8K, that the frame rate is a bit more squarish. It does have a bit more top and bottom range. So 1.44 crop happens. So 8K is there. It does allow you 30 FPS in normal 16:9. It does allow 24 FPS if you are using basically DCI, digital cinema, and a lot of tools are there. Like they copy pasted their whole tool lineup. So not only you can actually shoot high resolution video, you can actually use tools that display the screen and all that. You can use that. It has histogram, and it has like a colored histogram. A lot of data is there. Vector graphs, vector scope, lot of tools are there. Almost like Panasonic level. So a lot of video shooting tools are there. It can do 4K obviously, but does not go to 120 FPS and all that. The sensor is too huge. Now 8 FPS burst is also good. Now be mindful, it's slowed down. If you're dumping raw file in both of them, the buffer will fill up. Now in mechanical shutter, they have something very nice. 1/4,000th of a second. That's good, that's nice. But they also go to 60 minutes. Now it's like, is that needed? Well, yes, this is one thing that I genuinely do not get about DSLRs and mirrorless and whole camera industry. It's like they never upgraded from film camera. Like this camera have a toggle here. If I keep going there, it reaches the B mode, like actual bulb mode, and I'm supposed to put a cable here, and then I'm supposed to hold it as long as I need to. Okay, that's cool, awesome, fine. That's not how digital camera is supposed to be. Digital camera, bulb mode, okay, input the time. You're like, no sir, you have to buy an external remote to do that. It's like, why? That's just raw stupidity. That's not basic stupidity, raw stupidity. So to solve that, this time they have a simple option. You can go above let's say 30 minutes to 30 seconds. Most camera will stop at 30 seconds. They will the moment you push past 30 seconds, it will say basically bulb mode. Here you can go to 60 minutes. That's good. Like you do not need external device for that. It's like, hey, that's good. I'm like, good. One Nikon camera does that. One. And in terms of electronic, because this is a huge ass camera and you can put a very bright lens, you may need to increase the shutter. Electronic shutter can go some super speed, like 1/32,000th of a second. That's fast. That's fast. That simply means you can shoot someone in broad daylight and make it look like an evening. Like that's how fast that is with bright aperture. So for many people, it's like shutter, like they did not compromise there. USB-C does allow you to use stills and video recording, exactly like how Panasonic used to do that, and Blackmagic. So that's good, awesome. It does have 3 battery. In this regard, Fujifilm is the only company that knows how to make vertical grips. It's like, hey, you have a battery there. Why pull it out? Why pull that battery out? Why remove the door and just stick something there? What if you just have a connectors outside? And do not say water and all that. Like your mobile phones have waterproofing. It has a full USB-C jack. It still works. If they want to design it, they can design it. And Fujifilm has been doing this for surprisingly long time. And GFX is not the only one. Even XFX also has this. Genuinely good design. You plug it in and now you have basically 3 batteries. Now, sad news is that it actually needs 3 battery because the battery is very small. You can see that, like compared to the camera body, the battery is too small. Why it's too small is Control-C, Control-V from XFX. So battery will run out very quickly. So many people either will have to buy a lot of those batteries or just put up with a vertical grip, so have quality battery life. That is one thing you have to understand. The battery life will not be comparable to Sony or Canon. So this is the specification side of things. So for whom like this is made? Now be mindful, this is a purpose-built tool. Can you use it for other things? Absolutely, but it's not built for that. It's a purpose-built tool for niche use case. For example, how many people are there that even knows that 120 is a film format name that is actually used? Like there are some people like me, stupid enough, but not everyone does that. So this is a very niche case scenario. On top of that, you have to get paid a lot per picture to justify this. Of course, many people do get paid that. That's why this sort of device exists. And be mindful, this is a cheap device. For people who are dealing in this ecosystem, this is like chump change. They are used to dealing with like $50,000, $60,000, not even exaggerating. They're used to dealing with that phase 1 cameras. And they're like, dude, this is just pocket change. So if you're getting paid that kind of money, you're like, who cares? So which industries? Well, some industries are there, especially in the high end of those industries. Architecture photographies, luxury product photographies like Rolex and all that. And you have high fashion, which does not make sense. Art galleries, it does make sense there. Modeling does make sense there. Etc. Basically, high class. It's not designed for like, your street photography, your vloggers. It's not meant for that. Now, it does need big ass quality glass. While you can resolve a lot of things and does allow you to resolve a lot, even with a basic glass, you do need a high quality glass to really stand out. And that's why Hasselblad and Phase 1 still works. Like they have their quality glass. So Fuji does make some quality glass. As good as those, again, those things are not comparable. So, but you do need quality glass here. And here's the problem. The glasses are huge, as in this lineup. And yes, that's the total lineup available. These are the two new lenses they allowed. And these are tilt shift lenses. Why do you need this? Well, imagine you go into an art gallery and somebody is like, hires you. It's like, hey, we need to digitize this. And like, okay, oil paintings generally have too much surface area. And they do not like it to like, and sometimes they would be encasing. So you will buy tilt and shift lens, put a polarizer there, arrange the lighting so it's perfect. And then you just tilt it. You shift it. Basically, the image circle of this lens is bigger than the sensor. So when you are shifting it, it's actually moving inside the image circle. So perspective does not change. So you can stitch it without any issue. All softwares will successfully stitch it. That's the more like wow. Like you can have like 110 millimeter and be like as close focus as possible. And you can keep moving your shift as long as shift range is like you planned it properly. So you could exceed the shift range. You do not want to exceed that range. You can capture very high resolution photos, and it also has pixel shift. So if you really want to go all stupid, you can do very high resolution photo, like very and it will actually have details where it's like, it's not just a big ass file. It's just like it has big ass file resolution. So two lenses are, one is 30 millimeter, one is 110 millimeter, f5.6. Now be mindful, you may like f5.6 is too, it's medium format. It's actually good enough. And then like you have, there are a few zoom lenses like 20 to 35 f4, 32 to 64 f4, 35 to 70 f4, 45 to 100 f4, and 100 to 200 f5.6. It would be similar to f4. In like 70 to 200 you have f4. It will be similar to that. There is a lot of prime lenses. 55 mm f1.7. That is stupidly shallow depth of field. That's like RE Alexa 65 mm levels, that. So f1.7, if you shoot a video with that, you'll like, whoa, what the hell you're doing. So there is a lot of f1.7, f2.8, f4, f2. So you do have a lot of options. Now that's it. That's all you can get. And I do not see that many third-party options. Because this is a very niche case tool. It's not designed for common public, not designed to price compete. From Fuji's point of view, they struck gold. They make it for very low prices and they sell it for very high margins. So even if they are only selling few thousand of these, they're like, bro, we good. And we have something that other companies do not have. That also gives them flexing point. So it's a really unique toolkit, not for common public. Do not expect this to keep up with Nikon, Canon or Sony. Why? The lenses are huge. The glass elements that are physically moving, it's huge. Motors simply cannot catch up to it. So for example, if you are taking 8 FPS, yeah, no, it's not Sony, Canon, it's like because again, it will keep hunting focus. Or you will just get a lot of out of focus photos. So be mindful, the lens fundamentally is much bigger. So mass of the lens is exponentially bigger because you increase diameter a little bit. The surface area goes up exponentially. So mass of the lens element that it has to move is limited. So can you do sports photography with this? With a lot of patience, yes, but do not expect the same option that you're going to get from other things. So you have to be very mindful. That's why I said it's a niche tool. Can you use this for street photography? Good luck. So that's what we are talking about here. So this was my presentation on GFX 100 Mark II. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike. Press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.